In the last video, we were able to add the slides functionality. So when we click on any of these bullets, it's going to slide because we are using the Eon slides inside our Eon content. But right now, as we can see, when we move to another slide, the text right here, that is the location, it's still remaining what we had when we launched the application, which displays the user's own location. So right now, whenever we move to another slide, we want to display the location associated with that particular slide. To do that, let's go into the Ionic framework. So I'll open ionicframework.com. On the API documentation page for slides, if you scroll down, there are different events that can be used, and there are also different methods as well that can be used. If you check here, let me zoom this in. So here you can see the different methods like get active index. This gets the index of the active slide. We are going to use this method. If you scroll, you can see get previous index. If you want to get the index of the previous slide, you want to check whether the slides that you are currently on is the first slide. There are different methods available. You want to know the length of the total slides. Now, this lock swipe to next, if you want to have the ability to swipe to the next slide, you can just use this method, then pass in a boolean true or false. It says lock or unlock the ability to slide to the next slides. We have lock swipe to previous. It also takes a boolean, this method as well. We have the resize method, slide next, slide previous, slide to, start autoplay, stop autoplay, and updates. Now what I want to show you is if I scroll down, you can see we have some output events. We have events like Eon slide autoplay. These are events that can be added to the Eon slide element. We also have Eon slide did change. It says emitted when a slide change ends. So when you slide, immediately you complete the sliding, we can call this method or this event. Then we have also, if you scroll down, Eon slide will change. This is emitted when the slide change starts. But what we want to use right now is this Eon slide did change event. Now this will enable us detect when a slide has been changed. So if I go right here, when we change the slide, we are going to call this particular event Eon slide did change. Then inside we are going to write some code that will enable us change the text right here. Now to get started with this, let's go into our home.html file. Inside the home.html file on the Eon slides right here, now I'm going to add a reference. That is a template reference variable. Now I can call that slide ref. So this is a template reference variable. Then I'm going to add the event, which is Eon slide did change. And I'm going to set it equal to a method. I'll call it slide changed. Now I'm not going to pass any event or any value into the method. Now we are going to use this slide reference variable right here to get a reference to these Eon slides. Then we are going to create this method. So whenever a slide changes, we are going to fire this Eon slide did change event. Now let's go into our home.ts file. The first thing we need to do is we need to import the view child from Angular core. So I'll import view child. So this will enable us get access to any child elements that we want. Then also from Ionic Angular, I'm going to import slides. So import slides from Ionic Angular and import view child from @angular-core. Now inside my homepage class down here, I'm going to add the view child decorator, which is @view child. Now inside this @view child, I can decide to add an alias, and the alias is going to be the name of this slide reference we added right here. So this slide template reference variable we can use it as the alias inside our view child decorator. So this is going to be slide reference. Then I can call this slide, and it's going to be of type slides. Now this view child we already imported from Angular core. These slides we already imported from Ionic Angular. Then we are passing this alias here from this template variable into this view child decorator. Now instead of just using this directly, we can instead use this variable we created here, because we already passed the alias into the view child. Now what I'm going to do is I have to create this method called slide changed. So I'll copy that. Then after our Eon view did load, I'm going to add the method right here. So whenever a slide is changed, this event will be fired, and whatever is inside this slide changed method will be executed. If I go back to the documentation, remember I showed you a method, an instance method that we can use, which is this get active index method. So this will give us the index of the active slide. So inside here, I'm going to create a local variable called index, and I'll set it equal to this dot slide dot get active index. So if you want to see, you can do a console.log and you pass in index. So I'll save this now, go to the page, then open up the console so that you'll see the value. So right now I'll change the slide. Now you can see on the console that the index is being displayed for each slide. Now if I go back to the first, it usually starts at index 0. So you can see right now that we have access to the index. So this gets active index method will give us the index of the current slide, active slide. Now the next thing is I'll create another local variable here. I'll call it name, and I'll set it equal to this dot slides, because this dot slides is coming from this array, which is the array we have right here. We can assume right now that the array contains the locations. So inside we are going to pass in the index, then we are going to get the current dot name. So right here, what I did, the index that we are getting from this get active index method, we are passing it into this dot slides. Then we are getting the current dot name. Now if you remember, inside our location object, we have the current and the forecast values. Right here you can see we have the current and the forecast values inside the location object. So here we are getting the name from inside the current object itself. So right here, these dot slides taking in the index that we're getting here, dot current dot name. Now the next thing I want to do is, since this name is going to return the name of the location that is active, then I'm going to set this dot city name equal to name. That's just it. So when we navigate, when we call this slide changed method, we are going to get the active index. We're going to use the active index to get the values of the particular location inside the slides array. Then when we do that, from the current value in the object, we are going to get the name. Then we set this dot city name, which is what we have right here inside the home.html. Then we set it equal to the name that is being returned. So now that we have this, I'll save, then go back to the page. So now watch what's going to happen to this test we have right here. So I'll scroll down, I'll change the slide. You can see now that the test right at the Eon title is changing. Now I move, if I go back to this, which is London, it's going to display right here. If I click this, so now we have the functionality to change this text. We can change the slides as well as change the text right here at the top. Previously, we only had the ability to change the slides. The text will just remain, it will remain the text of the user's own location. So I can change this now. But the background images are not changing. It's not displaying the background image of the particular location. Here, if I change the slides, you can see here it's changing. I'll go back here. I'll do the same. I'll just change, but the images or the background images that still remain the same. So in the next video, we are going to fix the background image so that when we change the slide, the background image will change as well.